Hello everyone, what I'm going to show you today is actually something I have used in my epic enchanting station video, but I haven't really pointed it out. So how would you convert an everyday pulse from a button to say 8 pulses which are 6 ticks away from each other? Well, to achieve that you would probably do something a bit like this, a toggleable clock, a 6 tick clock, and before the clock a pulse extender that turns the clock on for the correct amount of time so the clock can run 6 times, and you get something like this. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See, exactly what we want. But what if there was a better solution? Well, there is, and it's right here. Press the button and as you can see we get the exact same result in a much smaller space, 8 items with a 60 delay between each other. So as you can see, this uses a comparator loop. This comparator loop works the same way as this repeater loop. A pulse basically goes through it. Here a pulse is created at the monostable circuit and then it goes around and around and around and around, and there's a couple of redstone connections here that cause the redstone power to lower whenever the pulse gets around. So eventually it's gonna be 0 and this is all gonna turn off. The way I managed to make it this compact is by joining two functionalities into one, which makes it super compact. But it also makes it harder to control. Here is all the information that you need for working with these comparator loops. The length of the output pulse is the same as the length of the input pulse. The delay between each output pulse in ticks is the same as the amount of comparators in the loop. Side note, for odd amounts of comparators you don't need to do something like this and go all around, because then you're gonna have redstone connections. All you really need to do is this. The input pulse must be at least 2 ticks and at most the amount of comparators minus 2 ticks. But the most important thing here is probably the amount of output pulses. Unfortunately, it's also the hardest one to work with and there's math involved. If you don't care about the size and how compact this turns out, you can simply do something like this and avoid all the math. So this, as you will see, gives 16 pulses, that's the maximum, and you can probably see how this is built. There's a sticky piston below here. Then we have 2 redstone here instead of just 1, and this gives 15 pulses. Then 3 redstone gives 14 pulses, 13, 12, 11, 10, etc. all the way down to 2. But if you actually want to use this device to make your other devices compact, then you're gonna have to use math. Alright, so here is the equation. It's actually pretty simple. It includes RC1 and RC2, redstone connections 1 and redstone connections 2. Redstone connections 1 are the redstone connections between the input and the first comparator. In this case you can see there's only one here, only one redstone connection. So insert 1 here, it's gonna be 14 minus 1, and then divide that with redstone connections 2. That's the redstone connections between the last comparator and the first one. Here you can see there's 3 redstone, so 2 redstone connections, and then just basically add 2 and that's it. If you get some decimal numbers, decimal places, just cut them away and round the entire number downwards, and that's your amount of output pulses. If you are an advanced redstoner and you really want to make this compact, you're gonna have to put it in some weird configurations which have more variables, and it's a lot harder to figure out the amount of output pulses. So here we have more redstone here that we didn't have before, and there's also some redstone connections between actually the last comparator and the output. So the way you calculate the output pulses here, you can't really use any equation, at least I wasn't able to come up with one. Instead I have code. I hope you're a programmer, then you probably know what it means. If not, well, skip a part of this video because you're not gonna take anything from it. Alright, so here's RC1, RC2, RC3, RC4. Redstone connections 1 are redstone connections from the input to the first comparator, just like previously. In this case that's 1, 2, 3. Remember, you're not counting redstone, you're counting the borders between redstone here. Alright, redstone connections 2 here are the redstone connections between the last comparator and the first comparator, same as we had there. Then you also have RC3, that's the entire amount of redstone connections within the loop, so count those here as well, and between these two comparators, if you had any, or anywhere within the loop, count all of those redstone connections. And then RC4 is basically this, from the last comparator to the output. A couple more random things with this circuit. As you can see here, I have it set up in a way where the first pulse takes 3 ticks to get to the output. You can actually set it up in a way where the first pulse comes through instantly, and then it just works as normally. This is pretty much the same thing as I have there, except it starts up instantly. There is actually a way to get above 16 output pulses, but yeah, it gets really big, and at this point there are a lot better ways of doing it, so I don't recommend this. What I've done here is nesting 2 of them. I have a clock here, a pulse multiplier that basically gives 16 pulses, and then whenever it's finished, that comes around and triggers it again. And now this is gonna run forever. Alright, so one last thing. Here I have all of these here together in one, which might sound weird, but it is actually what this is. You get a bunch of output pulses. I'm not sure how much this is, but you can set, yeah, it was 13. You can set how many you want by just giving a different redstone power strength here, because it changes how strong the input pulse is here. See, well, now I'm picking it up. It subtracts what you've set here from this comparator, so it changes the input pulse, and it's basically the same as switching from this to this, then to this, then to this. Yeah, so we can just do something like this, and this will give us just a few pulses. What was that, 7? And you might be like, yeah, this is a good idea and all, but seriously, who's gonna use this? It's a very, very small chance that someone is actually gonna need a settable pulse multiplier like this that is controlled by signal strength. But I am actually going to use this in near future. I can't tell you much about it, because that would spoil the surprise. All I can tell you is that I am actually going to use this, so stay tuned, and you'll see. Thanks for watching, bye bye, see you then.